Welcome to the Happiest Place, where we explore how to win at life and achieve your deepest dreams. I'm Brandy Hudson, a performance coach and happiness expert. Each week, we'll dive into practical strategies to help you live your best life by harnessing the power of high vibration emotions. Whether you're looking to improve your relationships, career, health, or overall well-being, this podcast is your guide to creating a life you truly love. Let's get started on your journey to becoming the happiest version of yourself. Oh, hey, friends.
We're back.
We're back.
How you feeling?
Oh, anytime I'm with you is good, girl.
We are in the happiest place.
The happiest place.
All right, today, it's about women's empowerment. And I freaking love this topic because we're women, duh. And we're in a time where some of us are probably questioning how we're feeling and our confidence. So, do you want to get started?
I will. And I think we're women and we're pretty powerful.
True story.
We've really harnessed this for ourselves. So, we're here to help.
All right, let's help. Okay, let's start with treating each other well, right? How can I support other women without feeling competitive or threatened?
Yes. I love this question. I actually love this question because it's so vulnerable and honest.
Yeah.
I think if we think about our journey, and even now, there's always going to be a time where you may not feel you're enough. When you're at a table and you're like, ooh, how did I get to this table? Yeah. And you're a little bit giddy, but you also are wondering. And so I think that energy of, am I enough, or feeling competitive comes from a couple places.
Okay.
One, it comes from not loving ourselves deeply enough. And two, it comes from a place of scarcity. There's not enough to go around. So let's take them one at a time, right? So I think, first of all, if I'm competitive with you,
yep,
by definition, I don't believe deeply enough in my own gifts.
That there is something you're enough, yeah.
Right? And then I don't think that my gifts are unique.
Yeah. Right?
And so there's no need, even if we do the exact same thing, for me to ever be competitive with you because, and this is my logical brain, it doesn't always work this way,
right?
But because I know there's more than enough for both of us and that my gifts are meant to help a specific subset of the world and your gifts are meant to help perhaps the same subset, but also perhaps differently. But there's no way that we were both given gifts that could only do one thing and that there's this terrible intersection.
So let's talk about that a little bit. Let's unpack that. Where does that come from, right? That knowing. Can that be taught? If I'm not feeling confident, how do I get to that place of confidence?
Oh, I love that you said it that way. Yeah. I love that so much because no, it's not being taught. It's unlearning.
Oh, okay. Go on.
It's unlearning. We come here knowing our worth, knowing our value, and over time, the world unintentionally and sometimes intentionally chips away at it. Oof. And we have to remember, we have to go back and remember that we are this beautiful, chosen, unique, amazing being that came here with gifts to share with the world. And that there is no one else who can do what you do, but in an energy of also having so much grace and love for other people and knowing that no one else can do what they do. And it's from that place where you really and truly can advocate, support, and cheer on other women, other people, right? Because it's only from a place of scarcity where we think there's not enough, right? Where we think that there's $1 and it's binary. I get it or you get it, right? Yeah. And so many things in the world are looked at in that way. And I think if I were to even step back on a macro level, society is set up that way.
Absolutely.
Right? It's how people maintain power by creating these situations where people are infighting. And then
you hear the haves and have nots. There's always a tension, the hero, the villain. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly right. And when you're in that place of just love and supporting other people, the best part of that is that comes back to you. It has to.
Okay.
Right? But unfortunately, when you're in that other place, that also comes back to you.
Karma.
Karma.
All right. Speaking of karma,
All
right? How do I stop doubting myself? And just really pulling that thread that what you just said earlier, right? If it's unlearned, if it's taken away from us, how do I get that back?
Well, I think the first thing I always invite my newer clients to do with me is to set a timer for 15 minutes and write down 100 things that they love about themselves.
Do people usually get to 100? It's a big list.
See?
I know.
See?
This is
Why
candid,
is it
people.
big?
This is candid.
Yes, it's not a big list. 100 things?
I mean, I'm pretty great. You're pretty great.
But I can find 100 things I love about you.
Oh, I love this.
You know?
Next episode. We'll read it.
She's like, let me get you a pen and paper.
I love that.
I mean, I love that you're a beautiful friend. I just could go on and on. And I think that so many people actually find it easier to write a list about other people than they would about themselves. And I know some people that aren't my clients, so I'm not holding their feet to the fire, but I've told them about this, haven't ever finished the list, right? And so I think really centering every day in that self-love, that reminding ourselves just how great we are, just how much we bring to the table, right? Every day looking in the mirror and saying, I love you, Brandy Hudson, right? And then wondering, does that feel authentic? Does that feel inauthentic? And why, right? And so to the second part of your question, absolutely we can relearn these things. The same way that we forgot who we are, right? That we forgot how powerful we are. We forgot how we are meant to live our dreams. We can remind ourselves, we can teach ourselves, but we must do it with intention, right? And we must be so committed. You got to do it as your job, right?
It's a pretty good job.
It's a pretty great job.
Loving me is a job.
It's a job,
yeah,
right? And then one day it won't be. It'll be second nature. And from that place, that's where everything flows.
Yeah.
That place of deeply unapologetic loving ourselves, everything starts there. And all things, right? I always talk about density, right? We're releasing all the density in our lives to really align with those high vibration, high frequency, that place of expansion. We release all of that so that we can be in this great big alignment with what we're looking for. Right.
So you mentioned authenticity, which is interesting because there's a question that I've been noodling on. I wanted to hear your answers to it, and it was on the list. It goes, what are the first steps to living my life authentically, regardless of what others expect? You talked about sort of this tension between what society says we're supposed to be and what we inherently know. So where do we find that authentic place?
Well, I think it's such an unpacking in two ways, right? So one, we just want to be clear on who we are, right? And what parts of us are in many ways performing. And the trick about the performance is that no one accepts it as much as we think we are. They do, as much as we think they do. And oftentimes when we're in that place of performance, we end up surrounded by other people who are performing. Right? And so it's, who am I? Right? Be really clear. What do I value? What do I prefer to not be around? Right? What am I willing to let go of or give up to be in this really beautiful space? And I think that what we will find is the most authentic version of ourselves will always be accepted by the people we are meant to be with.
I love that.
You know? And I, for sure, when I was early in my career and, I think probably someone me now would come and do a talk at work and they would say, bring your whole self to work, be your most authentic self. And I would lean over to somebody and be like, they crazy.
Right. I still feel that way.
But I no longer do. I really know that where you're meant to be will always be embraced by the most authentic version of yourself. And it's interesting because just the other day someone told me that their actions were authentic, and it was interesting to me because some of the actions were kind of aggressive and dense and not always very kind. And it was interesting that this person was holding on when I was, hey, is that how you want to present to the world? And they were, yes, that's my authentic self. And it's interesting because that is no one's authentic self.
It's kind of defensive.
Those are all defense mechanisms, and those all are born from some trials or tribulations we've had along the way. And so that's why I said the first step is to be really clear about who you are. And when you have that clarity on who you are, then the world has no choice but to accept it. I mean, imagine that a creator would put you here on the planet as a person who wasn't going to be accepted by other people, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that when we really release all that doesn't serve us, all that isn't us, and we get back to the best version of ourselves, and that will evolve over time, but in any given moment, then it'll be so easy. Yeah.
Okay, tip time.
Oh, you want to
tip? I want some tips. What are some practical ways to elevate my life and empower other women in my circle? How do we get everyone else happy?
Oh, I love that question. Oh, you're not going to know this tip.
You don't know that. Tell me. Or maybe you do know.
Yeah, It ain't your job to make other people happy.
Oh, I love this tip because sounds a lot of work.
Yes. I'm going to tell them, Rochelle is the queen of trying to make everybody happy.
Makes me feel good.
Yes. But the trick is it's an unending proposition.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's the work of a lifetime to master your own emotions.
Yeah.
And that is the work, right? Everyone talks about mindfulness, and I love mindfulness because our mind does create our emotions. How we see the world creates our emotions, but our emotions actually shape how and what we are able to align with, right? And so, yeah, the hot tip is, yo, girl,
don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't try to make other people happy, right? You want to be neutral, right? My job is to show up as the best and brightest version of me and to interact with you at the highest levels and want the best for you, right?
For sure.
So we want the best for every single person we come into contact with.
But I don't have to do that for you.
But I don't have to try to make you happy, right? I think the one thing we can do is we can send people love. We can pray for them. We can, we can do things to brighten their day, right? Mm-hmm. All of this is showing people possibility, right? Mm-hmm. We show people possibility. It is possible for you every day to feel great. And there may be times where I do something to contribute to you feeling better than you do other times. Mm-hmm. But never, ever, ever is it my responsibility or job to make you wholly happy.
And I think conversations like these contribute to helping people understand how to find that happy place for themselves. So
yeah, I mean that's our goal, right?
Yeah.
Because when we learn to really understand our emotions, right? And understand what triggers us, what makes us feel those dense emotions of sadness, anger, hatred even, right? Whatever causes those to pop up in our lives, then we can do the work to feel those emotions deeply. But then, because so many people say this, I hear so many personal development coaches telling people the work is to feel your emotions. And that is not untrue. But the work is to feel them. So we don't want to stuff our emotions away. We don't want to run from them. We want to lean into them. We want to feel them deeply. And then once we've felt them deeply and we've kind of crossed that chasm, then we want to take the time to get to the root cause of that emotion. Because until or unless we get to the root cause, we will continue to be in similar situations where that emotion pops up again. And that's where we see people having these patterns in our life, in their life, or in our lives. I've had them. We all have patterns, and some patterns are great, but I'll put a pin in that. We have these patterns in our life, and other people can see it so clearly. Oh, you always end up with the boyfriend who ba 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 ba. Oh, you always end up with the boss who da 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 da. Right? That's a pattern. Yeah. And we need to get to the root cause so we can release it. And so many personal development coaches says you just need to feel the emotion. And yes, feeling the emotion is better than not. But we need to get to the wisdom of why that's showing up in our lives. And when we get to that beautiful wisdom, then we can release it. And then that pattern goes away. And then we've increased our happiness set point. And when we increase our happiness set point, we get more good things.
Everything rises to the level of happy.
Yeah, right? So I love that. And then I think just in closing for that is that we do really, really need to deeply understand. I lost my train of thought, so she'll cut this out. Yeah. That's cool.
Done. Right. Happy.
See
you guys soon.
See you guys soon. Thanks for being here.
Happiest place.
The happiest place. Thank you for tuning in to The Happiest Place. Remember, your dreams are meant for you, and you have the power to create the life you desire. Don't forget to send in your questions for future episodes. I'm here to help you on your path to happiness and success. Until next time, stay curious, take radical responsibility, and keep vibrating high.